hasn't done anything major in a long time.
Right. If you were looking at a list from like a decade back, she probably
do we want to know what the actual numbers are? Like how much they're actually worth? So sure. Taylor Swift is worth 1.6 billion in assets. So that's her valuation. A lot of that has to do with her catalog re-recordings because remember I don't know if you guys remember or not, but she had to re-record all of her old music because she didn't have legal rights to it.
Right.
So a few years ago, she did like Taylor's versions where she went and re-recorded everything. So that's what brought her up. Rihanna's 1.4, and that's probably because she hasn't done music in a while. That's probably why. Beyonce or Selena Gomez is 1.3. But I forgot she's an actress as well. She's on a show called Only Murders in the Building, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wasn't she on a Disney Channel show too for the longest
time?
Yeah. And now it's back.
And then actually Beyonce and Madonna are way below the top 3. I mean, they're in the top 5, but they're way under. So Beyonce is only 760 million. And Madonna is 850. So it's Madonna and then Beyonce.
I wonder if when Taylor Swift has to re-record her songs, she's reliving her breakups.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Why doesn't Tenacious D just go and do covers of all Taylor's songs? They'll probably do it better.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I mean,
right,
if they ever do anything again.
Let me open up a Google
Not getting into that
for us.
Jake, you've opened a can of worms. I don't know if you want to open.
Aaron, you're hurting my ear.
All right. So I'm gonna open up a Google Doc because we'll probably do that last. We're gonna do the battle thing last. So let's do this. Go ahead and Welzabard battle. That's what we're gonna call this.
Enemies are good.
Is that the one we're doing today?
Later, yes.
Oh, okay.
We have 3. We have 3 today.
I wrote down the wrong 3 then.
What did you write down?
I wrote down Arrowverse villains.
Yes.
I wrote down MCU suits.
Yes.
And then I wrote down wasted potential for MCU villains.
Okay, well, this was the 4th one then. The Welzabard thing is the 4th one. So if we get to this,
I'll be silently thinking of my options.
Yeah, that is the very end. I don't think we're long talkers. We're kind of long in the tooth when it comes to stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if we'll get to that one. The ones that you picked were the first 3 that I had on the list, though. So you had them right. I just mentioned this at the end. So
gotcha.
Does that whole thing where we're like naming one each and like we can't use ones that somebody else says?
That's the battle one. Okay. That's the battle thing.
I didn't know if that applied for the other rankings.
No, the other stuff is whatever you want to do.
Okay, cool. So which one's first?
I'm gonna figure that out now. Let's see. By the way, we're under a heavy storm warning, so hopefully nothing happens.
Oh yeah, it was wet and wild over here. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty close to you, so what you got, I probably got too.
Let's see.
Just 90 degrees over here.
I had one mother of a migraine this morning, so I'm glad it's gone.
Also, for these categories, we're not going to do more than like one honorable mention just because of time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do our 5, and then we can do like one honorable mention if we want.
Okay.
Let's
Sounds
see.
Good.
So let's do MCU suits first. I think that would be
all right.
Fun. Does everybody have their list for that?
Yeah.
Yep. Sure do. I will say that one. God, I don't know what happened just then. I will say the MCU one took me the least amount of time to come up with. The other ones were harder.
Why is that? What was the reason for?
I don't know. I mean, so the one that took me the longest, aside from the battle, was Arrowverse villains. Like I really had to sit and think on that one. MCU costumes. I mean, I've already got costume videos kind of like planned out for the future, talking about those. So I kind of just looked at that document before I was like, okay, what are the ones that I talked about here? And then I just plucked that list over.
Oh,
yeah. Whew. Also, is that a Dark Phoenix shirt?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I was like, is that Dark Phoenix or is that Goblin Queen? I couldn't tell.
Let's
But granted, I don't even know if they make Goblin Queen shirts.
probably not, but
I bet they
Good.
do now.
Yeah.
They probably do now after 97.
well,
Yeah.
there might be I was gonna say there might be a version of it from '97, like the one that she wore in the comic book, I
Yeah.
mean the cartoon. We have a I've mentioned this before. We have a T-shirt printing press here at the house, so
That's cool.
we usually like when we're doing this isn't one of those shirts, but if I want to do something that I can't find, I just like make my own. So
There you go.
it's kind of the way it goes. Oh yeah, okay. So Naruto, here with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Naruto. Trailer for an Invincible fighting game dropped a couple of hours ago. Yeah, we're gonna watch that because I didn't. It's a Sunday. I was like, what? What could possibly drop on a Sunday? And then I
It's
saw
the
this.
game, the
Yeah.
upfront thingies, right?
Yeah. So we'll watch that just because I want to see it. But yeah, I was thinking we'd do this on a Sunday because there'd be no big news dropping, and then that dropped, and I'm like, well, I guess we'll have to watch that because
Right.
don't want to wait till Monday night. We will watch that before the end of the stream. Matter of fact, I'll make sure I keep your super chat in the starred section so I don't forget. Yeah, so Serenity, this is another thing. There's a lot of sites like Redbubble and TeePublic and stuff like that where people do their own like parody or satire shirts, and you can get them there as well.
Yeah.
So, sunny in Florida, of course it is. Of course it is. 3Dub's probably enjoying the sun down there in Florida right
Oh
now.
hell no! It feels like hell.
All right, so we're going to do it different today. We're not going to start with me. We're going to start with Darren for this
Hey,
category.
Whoa.
Yes, for
Whoa.
MCU suits. So we're not going to do any. Instead, I was thinking we could pull them up, but then I'm thinking if we do that, that'll take forever. So we're not going
Yeah.
to do that. We're just going to talk about them, and then people in the chat, if you want to look them up, you can. So we're going to do 5. Are you doing them in any particular order, or just 5 that you like?
Not any particular order, although I do think this first one I'm going to mention would probably be my favorite or one of my favorite out of
Okay.
these. I'm going first because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to have this as one of their favorites.
All right, so pick the one that you really like because it's good. That's what's going to happen. So go ahead.
I'm going with the Spider-Man No Way Home final swing. The way they the bright red and the bright blue and just the way he's swinging, like, to me, that is like, I finally saw Spider-Man on screen. Like how I
Yeah.
visioned Spider-Man, I was like, that's him. They got it right. Holy shit. And there's rumors that they're not going to be changing it, that he's going to keep it around. Please do not get rid of that suit. I will cry. I will cry. You can have some alternate, like, other suit sometime during the movie, but for the majority of Spider-Man 4, I need him to wear that suit. I
Yeah.
really do.
The only
You know-
thing I want to see outside of that is the black suit.
Yes,
That's fine too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly hope because of toys and merchandising that they don't like slightly alter it and make it more, for lack of a better term, MCU-y, because it is a comic book accurate suit.
Right.
And we're going to be talking about a lot of suits that can be slightly over designed. That's just the way it is with the MCU. But that suit is perfect. There's nothing that needs to be done to that at all, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So, all right, that's your first one. Jake, you are up next. What is your pick?
So Darren did take one of mine, but that's
Let's
fine.
go.
I have a feeling I might have one of his on here,
Oh,
and I'll
payback is fair.
Payback. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say this one. This is, I guess you could say this is my least favorite out of these 5, but I still absolutely love it. I am going with Sam Wilson's Captain America costume from the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That was one of
original.
mine.
That original one.
The white one with the
Yep.
actual
Yep.
cowl. Yeah,
With the
yeah.
headpiece.
That
Love
was one
that
of mine.
costume to bits. I really like that show more than
I'm seeing a trend here. We got 2 like comic accurate choices here.
Right,
Now,
yeah.
so
And
it's
just that beautiful shot when he lands, holding Carly. You see the wings spread out. And I just remember seeing that because they built up to him getting that costume throughout the entirety of the show.
and I hate that he didn't have it moving into the movies and they swapped into like this more like Civil War looking costume. Look, I like the one from the movies, but the one at the end of the show was the perfect like.
Now, I could have made a fair compromise because you still saw a version of the white suit at the beginning of Brave New World that just didn't have the headpiece. So
Right.
if they would have, stuck with that version but abandoned the headpiece, I would have been fine with that compromise. because the suit that he has throughout the back half of the movie, I don't hate it, but I think
It's a
just,
downgrade for me
yeah,
from the white suit.
it is so
Yeah.
much a downgrade for me.
Okay, so here's a little thing, Marvel. Reach out to the people that did the Wally West suit for the second running of
Yeah.
the Flash. They figured out how to make that cowl work without a
Yeah.
lot of stretching in the collar. So
Yeah, and they had their growing pains with that too, because
the
you could
first one is
never-
awful. Go
Yeah.
back and watch the very first time you see
Yeah.
it. It's not great. But
Yeah, he's
then when
moving
he
around
comes
like
back,
this.
right, when he comes back, they've got it fixed. So
Yeah.
talk to that department. I'm sure they're in Vancouver, and they will definitely hook you up with a
Oh yeah,
way to do those kinds of cowls.
had to get that one out there first.
Okay, so my honorable mention is now going to move into my main thing because you took it. So, all right, 3Dub, what is your first choice for your favorite MCU suit?
So my first choice is also Spider-Man, and it's Iron Spider.
That's a good one, too.
Okay.
That's a good one, too.
Wasn't there
All right.
multiple or no?
No, just one.
No.
Just
Okay.
one.
The Iron
And-
Spider is the one with, like, the lot of gold on it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'll say this. That's actually, in terms of MCU, that's one of my least favorite costumes.
So we're going to stick with Spider-Man, then.
Ooh.
Okay, because that's
All
I feel like that's the way to go here. We're gonna, and it's not the best movie, but it is my favorite suit. I think outside of the one that Darren mentioned, is the Far From Home black and red suit.
Yeah, that one looks good too.
I really like that one. Not the solid black one. I mean that one's okay, but that's not the one I like.
Oh,
the
the
most
one
out.
where he's
That's-
like shields.
It's like the
Yeah.
red and the black. And
It's the red and the black.
spider.
Yeah. I like that one because it's very similar to almost the symbiote suit, but it has the touches of that like dark red in it. And I know people don't like that movie, the Mysterio stuff and all of that. I get it. It's got growing pains and stuff. I still think it's an okay film. But actually I'm gonna move Jake over because you're behind the text. So let's move you over here. All right. It always happens with Darren too. I look over there and I'm like, wait a minute, half his face is covered by writing.
I don't like words on my face.
Yeah, but you're not on camera. But anyway, so so I like that red and black Spider-Man suit. So already the first round, 3 of the 4 have been Spider-Man suits. So that's pretty interesting.
I had to be different.
Yeah. So, but maybe there's another Spider-Man suit coming up in this this list here.
I mean,
But,
technically the other two are MCU, quote unquote, now.
Yeah, that is true. You're right. That is true. All right. So with that being said, Darren, what is your next list option?
My
choice?
next list, and just to battle Jake, I am going to do the Brave New World white Captain America suit without the goggles. Loophole. I still get to choose it, and I'll say it's better because Anthony Mackie said that suit was very uncomfortable, and he asked for them to switch it up going into this
Yeah.
new movie. It still looks really, really good in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
That white and blue is still my favorite look for a Captain America up until this point. There's been a lot of good ones. I could have chosen like 3 or 4 Captain America suits because they're
Yeah.
always really, really good. But I love that blue and that white. It looks
The
so
thing about
good.
the more like because with like with Steve's Captain America, the blue is like the most prominent color.
Yeah.
So on Sam, the white being the most prominent color kind of differentiates his
Yes.
Captain America, and it's a great
Yeah.
stylistic choice. So I
Side
hate that
note,
they went
John-
back to like a Steve-looking costume for him in Brave New World.
And side note, John Walker's Captain America costume lacked white completely, which kind of shows you what his character was going to go down.
Yeah,
With-
like a dark path.
Which
Yeah.
would have been cool if they did it the opposite way, where like he starts off with the blue because he's trying to be Steve's Cap, and then he's like, "Oh, actually, I have to be my own Captain America," and then he gets the white to.
Oh,
Make
that would have been
himself
kind of
hot.
cool.
Sam, yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we've swapped places, because Jake was next on the list, 3Dub is next because you're under Darren. So what is your next choice?
I went
3Dub?
from 3-dub to 2-dub. My next one on my list is Deadpool. Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think all of Deadpool's costumes are good, so you could have picked any of them,
Now I
honestly.
pretty much went with my 2 favorite superheroes, and now I'm like I have to think about it now.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I think Deadpool's a great choice, honestly. So I would agree with you. It wasn't on my list, but I totally understand. All right, Jake, what is your next choice?
So my next one that I have listed here is one that we only got to see in one film, but definitely glad that we got it when we did, and that is from Captain America: Civil War, the Black Panther suit. And I think Black
Civil
Panther,
War.
yes,
Yeah, that's the best Black Panther suit.
Yeah.
Period.
I think
Like-
Black Panther looks his best in that film.
Yeah.
Just the way that the cowl is shaped, the design pattern, the grid pattern that you can see on Black, how he's got a little bit of the necklace, but also the gauntlets have a unique design because post Civil War, the arms don't really have that much of a design on them, and just the little silver things that almost kind of act like fangs. They make the silver pop a little bit more. They did something different with the eyes. Even the ears are shaped a little bit differently. And yeah, I just absolutely adore that costume, and yeah, it blew my mind seeing it for the first time.
All right, so I'm going to go with a curveball here because I don't think anybody's going to pick this.
Okay.
But I don't talk about it very much. I think with my like IRL friends, I've said it many times. They probably know, but really haven't had an opportunity to talk about it here. One of my favorite characters in the MCU, and someone that I think got expanded on recently in a big way for me, also has one of the most comic accurate costumes, but also one of the coolest costumes in the MCU. And I would say that is Hela for me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I love
Okay.
Hela's design because it's very Kirby-esque with the helmet and everything. And it's that solid green. I don't think it's an over-designed costume. I think it's just enough of an MCU costume to really work. But the one thing I love about it is we lost her in the movie. She was in that one movie with it had a lot. Look, she did a lot of heavy lifting in that movie. I think she was one of the best parts of that film.
Yeah.
But we got to see more of her in What If, and we got to see these alternate takes on her, and I enjoyed all of those. I know there's some question about how she was used towards the end. I get it. But I still love that we got to see more of her later on. I love Hela's design. I think Hela, to be quite honest, how do I put this? Hela, if she would not have been battling Surtur at the end of that movie, and we would have seen her go on, she's probably one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to leave her there to fight Surtur, because I don't even know if the Revengers would have been able to defeat her, to be honest. It would have been very difficult.
Surtur defeated her, basically.
I don't know if he could even beat her, to be honest. I actually think Hela's extremely... she's very, very powerful. She can create any type of weapon she wants out of thin air.
Yeah.
Axes, swords, blades, just unlimited amounts of those, and she's the goddess of death. There's a lot of things she has that makes her really hard to beat.
I want to see her
back.
interact with this Loki.
Yeah,
that would be really good.
I could see her coming back at some point. I don't know because she died, right? I think
it was left. I think it was left ambiguous.
Okay.
She was fighting Surtur, but I don't even know if she's capable of dying. To be honest.
Yeah, I could see her coming back.
If you don't see a body, these guys don't die.
Yeah, because I don't even know if Surtur's dead. We have no idea. We never saw.
Yeah.
So, I read somewhere that Loki has either a wife or a daughter that rules over the hell of the MCU. Is that true?
The what now?
Loki has either a daughter or a wife that rules over hell in the MCU.
The hierarchy of hell in terms of Asgard has changed over time, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. It must be a new thing because I haven't read that story, but it wouldn't shock me.
So Loki, outside of MCU, Hela is typically Loki's daughter, but
yes. Is that what you're talking about though? Or
yeah.
Is it three? Oh, well then yes. In that case, I thought you meant something new.
I thought they literally changed her whole.
They're siblings in the movie, but they're not in the comics.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize that you're talking about. I thought you were talking about something recent. I'm like, I don't know, child ruling hell. I have no idea.
I'm who's the wife though?
Well, either way, I love that version of Hela from the MCU. I think the costume is great, and obviously an amazing performance. Would love to see her come back and play that role again. All right, number 3 for you, Darren.
My number 3, And when making this list, I kind of just went on Google and was like, nice suits, nice MCU suits, and I was going through, and I was reminded how much I loved the Miss Marvel season 1 suit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It looks so freaking beautiful. Just how the colors pop, the little stripes that go down her cape. There's that scene, I think it's the season finale, when it's her and her dad. She's in her suit, and her dad's sitting there with her, and they just have the city lights shine on it. And I remember thinking in that scene, this might be one of the best suits the MCU has ever done. And then going into the Marvels, I was like, that's not a bad suit. It's fine, but it's such a downgrade in quality comparatively to the season 1 suit. Like, I hope
thing with Sam.
Exactly. I hope it's very silly.
How did the show suits beat the movie suits? That's
because they peak so hard, and then they realize, oh shoot, we need more money, so make them new suits, and they cannot compete with what they've already done.
Okay, so 3Dub, you're next. What is your number 3 choice?
So the honorable mention that I'm going to say is Wolverine, the yellow suit.
That's a good one. I didn't pick that one, but that's really good. That's a really good
the pick I'm going to go with is the brown in one when
that's a good one too. That's a good one too. Yeah, actually, the brown and yellow is my favorite Wolverine costume from the comics. That's the one that I grew up with. So
yeah. Love that one. I was really glad to see, X-Men 97 do that suit too.
Yeah.
Only for it to be destroyed immediately, but that's besides the point.
Hey, what's up, Anthony? How you doing? All right, so that brings us to Jake. What is your third option?
So my number 3, while we're on the topic of X-Men, I figure I have to do this, is from Deadpool and Wolverine, the Gambit costume. Had to do that one because they take
that's a good one.
What sounds like such a silly idea on paper with the headpiece, the hair popping out, the trench coat, and the pink armor underneath. They take that, they go all in on embracing the roots from the comics. They're not remotely ashamed of it, and it is just a beautiful looking suit. And I'm really excited to see more of it in Doomsday. I mean, Gambit is also one of my favorite Marvel characters, so seeing that costume in action next to all those other costumes from that movie, I was like...
I heard a rumor that the Gambit we're going to get in Doomsday is going to be the one from the Monica Rambeau universe or whatever, where she
the one where you saw Kelsey Grammer again.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's possible. It could either be that one or the one that you saw, because they did imply that they were all saved at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I wonder.
You could literally take that one and plop them right there. Be like, this is new home. Yeah.
I'm assuming that the reason why
before
they're doing a different Gambit from a different world is so they can change up the suit.
Well, I don't even know if they're going to change it up that much, honestly. I mean, they might, but I mean, it depends on how long he's going to be in Doomsday. He might be there for like 5 seconds. We don't know.
They can just reuse the costume. It'll save them money.
And like Gambit's costumes haven't changed very much over the years. It's kind of been the same trench coat with like a purple and black suit with like some blue in it.
Well, I mean, the black one in what is it, Wolverine Origins?
Nope, not talking about that. Talking about that one.
All right, so number 3 for me might be quite controversial. But considering that we know that all of this stuff is now being connected in canon, I'm gonna have to say the Doctor Doom from Fan 4 Stick. Just kidding.
I was like, wait, I have to go look at that.
No.
My ears were burning.
That thing had a costume.
Yeah. So mine is, we're going to move to Iron Man now. There's a lot of options for Iron Man because he's had so many suits.
Oh, yeah.
The one that I like is like sort of nostalgic for me because growing up, Iron Man wasn't one of my favorite characters, but I did read a run where he wore the red and silver suit. Okay. So I believe it's the Mark III. Is it the one from the racetrack? Is that the Mark III?
No, the Mark III is the first red and gold suit that you see.
So it's the Mark IV then?
I think so, yes.
I tried to find, I was like, which one is this? It's the red and gold suitcase suit from the racetrack.
Yeah, that's 4, I believe. Silver Centurion.
Right. Okay. That's my favorite Iron Man suit because it is one of the coolest ones. Let me tell you, like, I love nanotech, and I know it's really easy for them to like make it work. I also like the practicality of the other suits where he has to get in the machine and then it kind of connects.
Yeah.
It feels
And-
more authentic.
Right, and then we get the ones that kind of fly in and connect to him. There's nothing cooler than the suit up scene with that briefcase. That is the coolest thing because he just kind of
Yeah.
like sticks his hands in it and then it twists it and then it comes onto him and everything. I love that suit. It's one of my favorites, but it also got destroyed so quickly because of Whiplash. But yeah, I mean, very cool suit. Obviously, it was only useful for a moment because he had all the. It's the Mark V. Okay, thanks, Cody.
Yeah, it's what I thought. Oh, 5. Okay, so it
Yeah.
isn't-
So because shortly after that he had the pieces that would fly to him, so he didn't really need the
yeah.
suitcase suit anymore. But for a moment in time, when he had to face off against Whiplash, Elon was in that scene where the suit was. But yeah, so that's my favorite Iron Man suit. I mean, there's other ones that I like, but I love the practicality of that one. It's just so like it's almost James Bond's type. Like
Yeah.
it's like a spy mystery suit. Like here's my suitcase, and in my suitcase is a full like Iron Man suit. But yeah, so this number 4 is the one he pees in and fights Rhodey with from the dance party where he's mixing.
Yeah.
He's DJing with his like Iron Man suit on.
It's like, hey, give me a beat so I can kick my buddy's ass.
That's such a fucking crazy scene.
It's so
Anyway.
stupid, but it's funny.
It is. All right, so that's my number 3. Well, Chris, we're not going to get into Whiplash as a villain. We're not going to get into that.
Nope.
Darren, what is your 4th choice?
My 4th choice. I literally did this last minute when I saw someone post it in the comments here, and I was like, "Oh wait, that is one of my favorite suits." Or I don't even know if you can call it a suit, but looks for a character.
Yeah.
And that's Loki in the series finale of Loki when he's walking down the like strips of time and he's slowly getting that giant green robe and his horns are growing over and he's slowly becoming that like comic accurate Loki. And just what that whole scene is leading to and what that scene is doing, I was like, holy shit. And I feel like it's one of the only times where like a character's suit symbolizes the character that they're becoming and it's an actual part of the scene that they are a part of. It is a brilliant scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire MCU. It's fantastic.
That's pretty cool. So 3Dub, what is your 4th choice?
So I'm going with a TV show. And
Okay.
it's going to be Mr. Knight.
Oh, from Moon Knight.
Oh,
Moon
okay.
Knight.
Yeah, Iron Man got like 34 suits on the 3rd movie and then blew them all up.
Yeah.
So anyway, you like the Mr. Knight suit?
Yeah, it was very. The Moon Knight is okay, but it's like wild, and then you have Mr. Knight, and he's like so uptight.
I actually had Moon Knight in my list, so that's going to come out now, and I'm going to put in one of my honorable mentions because you mentioned Mr. Knight. So I don't want to do something so similar.
One of the
There's
few things
only
I like
two.
about that show is that suit.
Yeah. So Jake, your 4th one?
So this one is going to go to my honorable mention now because Darren took out one of mine.
Oh, there we go.
That's
Was it
Spider-Man.
Loki?
It was Spider-Man.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, okay.
So he took that one out right away. So I had this one as honorable mention, but I'll go ahead and mention this. I doubt anyone else has this. I'm going from a TV show also, and I am going with from Daredevil Born Again, the White Tiger suit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that is a good suit.
Love that costume so much. Ever since I got more familiar with who both Hector Ayala and the more prominent White Tiger Ava were in like the early 2010s. So I read more into those characters and the different designs that they've had over the years, and they adapted Hector Ayala's design pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
It's, like about as good as you could hope for. The only, I guess, change is the mask. You could argue could have been more cat-like, but I was still really happy with how they did it. The stripes coming in from all the sides, the way that the eyes contrasted, because you had the almost all white costume and then the black eyes and then the white pupils. that really made for a good looking design, and of course had the amulet that sticks out. And just a bit whenever you see, the claws, come out with that sound effect,
Mm-hmm.
that shot is just burned into my mind. And it's unfortunate.
I wish we could have seen a little bit more of his character, honestly.
It's unfortunate with, the real life death of the actor that we won't be getting more of that.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best parts of the show for me, was his character overall, and especially that costume. I love it.
Mm. All right, so my number 4 is we're going to go back to Captain America, but we're going to go way, way, way back to Captain America with my personal favorite Steve suit. This is the one that I like the most. Is the stealth suit from Winter Soldier.
Okay. Yep.
I love that suit. It's probably the least American suit of Captain America because of it being like so dark and black and gray and blue.
Yeah.
But I think the overall design of that, and the funny thing is that particular shape, the cut of that suit is the one they end up using for all of the other suits after that for Steve.
Yeah.
They just add color to it. But for me, it was a toss-up because I could have gone really comic booky and went with the Avengers Captain America suit, like the one that's almost directly ripped from the comics. It's a little cheesy, but if you hold it up, it is the comic book suit, with the exception of the boots being a little bit different. But my personal favorite, the suit that Steve has ever worn, is the stealth suit at the beginning of Winter Soldier. So that's my 4th choice.
I honestly expected you to go with the Endgame suit whenever you were talking about Captain America at first.
I like that one, but for some reason that stealth suit just hits so hard for me.
That's fair.
I don't know why. Okay, so Darren, you are on your final and your honorable mention. You can do both of them now if you'd like to, if you have an honorable mention.
Yeah, sure. I was, I'm kind of changing my mind as I was going through this entire list, and I was like, there has to be someone I'm missing. This one isn't necessarily, I think this one, for my final pick, is very simple. It's not too crazy, I think, but I think because it's so simple is why I like it, is the Kate Bishop suit from the Hawkeye series.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like that's kind of what I've always wanted for Clint. I've always wanted him to have that iconic purple suit.
Yeah.
And there's something so simple and so, I don't know, small scale about a suit like this. It doesn't feel like an Avenger suit. It feels like someone who's just getting started, who's who's trying to look up to her hero and has this very silk that purple suit just pops on screen, and every time I see that, I have a Funko of it. I've been a Fortnite, all this stuff, and every time I see it, I smile because it's it looks so good. It's such a good suit, and I think Haley Steinfeld looks really good in it. That sounded weird, but I think that suit fits her well, is what I'm trying to say. So that'd be my final pick. And then honorable mention, spoilers for the end of Thunderbolts. I really like the new Avenger suits that we got at the end of the movie, especially Bucky in that new Avenger suit. And I think I only like it just because I feel like outside of Endgame, we've never seen group team suit. I guess Fantastic Four has it now too, but everyone under the same group having this almost uniform outfit, and there was such a hype seeing characters wearing Avenger suits again in the MCU. That was holy shit, that's so exciting just to see that it's back in the MCU. That's so cool.
You kind of got that unified team, look with the third Guardians movie, because they were all wearing those different suits too. But even then, some people were out of it. But no, I get with what you're saying, and they pulled off, that unified Avengers team look a lot better than with something like the Quantum suits from Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That makes sense. So, hey, what's up, Dane? Good to see you. All right, so 3Dub, what is your final suit?
Darren.
Thank you.
You already did your honorable mention, didn't you?
Well, I had 2.
I said 1 though.
Okay.
So go ahead and give this and give your honorable mention, but just do it very quickly.
So I'm going with Black Widow from the movie, the white suit.
Okay, the white suit is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool.
And the honorable mention was Sentry.
Is what?
Sentry.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a really good choice. I mean, I love Sentry suit, so.
I figured you would pick it. I didn't know that you weren't.
It was on my honorable mention, but yeah, I've got a couple different ones. So hold on one second. All right, I have to go do something very quickly, but Jake, you go ahead and give your final one and your honorable mention. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, my honorable mention was the one I already gave because you took that one spot, but I guess I had written down like a second one in case I had to move that one up. And I'll do my actual like final one last. But the honorable mention that I got, this is a character that people probably don't think about when it comes to the best MCU suits. But I'm going to go with from Avengers Endgame, the War Machine suit. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, that one really stuck out to me. How like his suits got like bigger and bigger every movie, it seemed.
Yeah.
And when you see him out there fighting that last battle in Endgame, he just looks like a massive tank. And he's got the rocket that is like on his shoulder, and then he's got another rocket on his shoulder.
I was about to say that's the coolest that
Yeah.
Rhodey looks is when he has the rockets and he has Rocket on beside him with a gun himself to shoot. Like that's so fucking hype. That's
one.
so cool.
Like, I think Rhodey's suits got better every movie.
Yeah.
Can I have your arm?
Then my final one that I'm going with, honorable mentions out there. This character was mentioned, and I was worried that this costume was getting taken. Thankfully, it didn't. But I'm going with the masked version of the Wolverine costume that you see in the back half of Deadpool and Wolverine towards the end of that movie. Of course, a lot of cheers came in from the audience whenever you finally see Hugh Jackman put that cowl on. And they took something that looks ridiculous on paper and concept, but they made it work. They made, they probably were inspired a little bit by Deadpool's costume, but they made the white eyes work in live action. They made it absolutely work. And, the reason why they were able to get away with not doing that for so long is, let's face it. I mean, Hugh Jackman looks badass in just a tank top and jeans, so they strayed away from giving him proper costumes for so long. But, they finally gave him that cowl with the sleeveless look too. The only thing I would have changed is I would have kept the shoulder pads, but for some reason they removed those. Like if they would have just removed the sleeves but kept the shoulder pads, because they did it in official merch, like you can see official merch of that design. But I cheered so much at that moment and was just loving seeing it in action that I had to put it there. So I don't know if you heard all of what I said, Eric.
I heard whatever you were saying just now. If you said something before that, then I didn't hear it.
So my final one was the masked version of the Wolverine suit. And then my last honorable mention that I threw in there was War Machine suit from Endgame.
Okay. All right. So here are my final selections. And I tossed around my honorable mention a little bit because I have so many great ones that I want to mention, but we have to just narrow it down. So my last suit is the Scarlet Witch suit from Multiverse of Madness. They kind of got it perfect. They started in the show. The crown was a little weird in the show, but they kind of got it right in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that one. Look, I like pretty much Wanda could walk out in jeans and a t-shirt and I'd be like, okay, 'cause I love Wanda so much.
Yay!
I really love that suit. Also, shout out to the suit from the Halloween episode.
I was gonna say
I was like,
suit.
I really thought about doing that because I was like, it's kind of still my favorite.
Shout out to that one. That's not my honorable mention. That's a shout out. My honorable mention is actually Monica's suit from the Marvels, the Photons.
Oh, okay.
That one is so comic booky to me, and I can't wait to see her come back in the Doomsday Secret Wars movie. So yeah, those are my choices. So I think we did a great job on that one. Everybody had their opportunity to get theirs out there. So since we're going to break up, because I know we have another MCU category, instead of doing that directly after this one, let's go ahead and do our Arrowverse category so we kind of break it up a little bit in the middle. Before we do that, though, should we watch this trailer for Invincible, or should we wait till the end to watch that? What would you guys rather do?
It's your call.
I'd like to get these done, because if we don't get to the Invincible trailer till the end, then we can kind of just rush
We
through
can
it.
just do it later on.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go through. All right, I could be very greedy here and say I'm going to go first because I know that these Arrowverse villains are going to be it's going to be very high priority for some people on what choices they pick.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up the little dice roller thingy, and we're going to see who gets to go first, because I feel like this is going to be one of those like contested things where everybody's going to pick. All right, right, let's see. Here we go.
There's one that I really hope I get out first, and then others that are like deeper picks that I feel like people might not have.
All right, here we go.
So I purposely went a different direction with mine because there are the ones that are everybody's favorite, like it's everyone's all-time favorite. So I went more not obscure villains, but ones that I don't think anyone else are going to pick, or I don't think people are going to pick.
All right.
So,
I kind of did that too. I only stuck with one of like the top ones because I legitimately had to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna roll for me first. This is me rolling. Remember, we're gonna go in order of highest to lowest. Okay. I rolled a 9.
Oh shit!
Pretty good.
All right. This is gonna be Darren's roll.
Okay.
17.
Whoa!
Okay, Darren. Be nice, Darren. Be nice.
Right. It's time for 3Dub's roll. Here we go. 12. So it's gonna be Darren and then 3Dub, then me. And here we go with Jake. Why am I last? How did I end up last? Is that karma? Is that karma for me saying I could go first? And then fate came in and said, well, by the way, no, you're last. So the order's...
I swear to God, if you two take the one from me before I get it.
All right. So we're going to go... It's going to be Darren... Wait, hold on. 3W, you were third, right?
Second.
Yeah.
You're second.
It's the same way it was last time, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me, 3Dubs, Jake, you.
Okay. All right. So Darren goes first. We're doing Arrowverse villains here, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of battles over who's going to pick what. I'm not going to do mine in any particular order because I just didn't feel like ranking them that way. So for me, it's no particular order. If you guys are doing a particular order, just say you're doing a particular order.
Mm-hmm.
So Darren, you're up first.
Yeah, like I said, I went more obscure. These aren't my favorite list necessarily, but villains I do like that I think don't get talked about enough. So, Jake, I think you'll be good. I also picked one from each show, so I don't have much repeat here.
Right.
First off, I'm starting with one of my favorite villains from Supergirl, played by the fantastic Sam Witwer, Agent Liberty from Season 4.
Okay.
Holy crap, that man killed it. He kills it in every role he's in, but I think he really... Season 4, I think they really set a new precedence for Supergirl that they could never live up to. Like, they set the bar on a whole new level, and they were like, oh, that's way too high. We can't reach that again, unfortunately. But, like, the whole first half of that season, just letting that actor play, letting the show go into a different direction in a way that felt like there was actual stakes in these characters and what they were doing, just for them ultimately to lead what they were doing in the back half. But still, like, that first half felt so...
It's really weird because I actually think Agent Liberty was probably the best villain that Supergirl has. Yeah. Next to maybe Rain in the beginning.
Yeah.
That, like, not to steal from people later, but like that combo of Rain, Agent Liberty, Lex Luthor was such a good era.
Yeah.
Like they were on a roll there.
If Lex wouldn't have appeared past Crisis, he probably would have been a lot better remembered.
Yeah,
well, probably.
For sure.
Okay, so 3Dub, you are up next.
So I think I have a color scheme going on, but my first one is from the Crisis on Earth X, and that was Tommy Merlin as Prometheus.
What?
Okay.
That's a really random choice, but it's good.
Because I know that someone's going to say the other Prometheus.
Yeah. But Tommy was an interesting choice because it was unexpected. That was such a cool way to tie it in, honestly.
I thought about doing that entire team of villains because they were fantastic. The Overgirl, Merlin, obviously Thawne, and then the Nazi Oliver Queen. That was such a good combo of villains.
Yeah, it was 100%. It's like the evil Justice League. It was so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jake, what is your first choice?
All right. So most of mine, like I said, are less talked about ones, but I'm just gonna get the slightly more obvious one out of the way, just because I am.
What is it?
I am going with Deathstroke.
Okay, not that one.
So I will say I had to. Season 2 is my favorite season of probably all of the Earth Prime seasons together. Maybe my favorite DC CW season period. I have a lot of nostalgia for that season. Me and my brother would watch it repeatedly over and over, and one of the things that made that season was Manu Bennett as Slade. I've also met Manu Bennett in person. He's a hell of a guy. And he just brought so much to that character.
I'm gonna have to dip into my honorable mentions because of this now.
Hey, you took some from me in previous rankings. So anyway, I had to, the range, just that scene at the end of the season when he's in the cage and you hear him yelling behind the cage door. He's like, "You think I won't get out of here? I keep my promises." That just makes my skin crawl. And even past the point when he was a main villain, he came on, to the show later seasons. He was still just as badass as he was then. Loved the anti-hero journey they took him on. Was upset we didn't get to see more of him because of the whole Warner Brothers BS blacklisting thing, but thought he absolutely knocked it out of the park in the role. And I will say, out of all of the highest, villains that are up here in that totem pole, Deathstroke is the only one that I have from that category. So
okay,
so people were probably a little more safe.
All right. Now that I have to add somebody else into mind, my first choice is probably my favorite villain on The Flash.
Okay.
And
I know what it is.
I've talked about this a lot, so it's probably not a big secret. But I think it's the best evil speedster on the show in terms of a one-season character that came back a couple of times. But that would be Teddy Sears as Zoom. That's
why I didn't pick him.
So the reason why is I think, for me, season 2 of The Flash is a perfect season of television. I think that that season alone by itself, just as a beginning and ending, is it's the season that set up all of the mystery that The Flash had, really, all of that ongoing theory stuff. A lot of channels that did Arrowverse content blew up because of seasons 2 and 3 of The Flash.
Yeah.
And season 2 started sort of pushing that along. I think the most terrifying thing we ever saw in The Flash was him dragging Barry through the street by his head. And I will forever remember that scene.
I actually chuckled at the fact that Welzabard actually commented on the fact that he stole the playbook from him about becoming a friend of the Flash team. And
no, it was very samey with him in season 2. But I think the reason why is because they wanted to recapture what season 1. Look, season 1 of The Flash is a perfect standalone season. Season 2 of The Flash is a perfect standalone season. But they share some similarities. I think Zoom is just a darker villain in terms of the creepy factor that he brings to the show that Welzabard didn't have.
Yeah. They put to bed the thought that a second evil speedster who's faster than Barry would not work. They put that thought to bed.
Yeah. I think by season 3 there everybody was another speedster, another one.
Yeah. And then when it came to season 6, everybody's like, okay, can we have speedsters back?
Yeah, exactly.
They took too long of a break. They're like, okay, you went off 4 years until they took another one.
So anyway, that's my first pick, and I know that he's basically been nerfed in terms of power by the time we get to seasons 8 and 9, but I still think he's a great evil speedster. So all right, so that brings us back to Darren now with his second.
They had
choice.
The best twist ever, by the way, by doing the whole Jay Garrick fake out.
Yeah, 100%.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
So good. My number 2 is from Black Lightning.
Oh,
I think I know what this is.
And they were introduced. Obviously season 1 you had the Tobias Whale, and then season 2 you had Tobias Whale, and season 4 you had Tobias Whale, and I think season 3 was such a lightning in a bottle, with. Gravedigger, Wayne Brady's character, introduced in that 3rd season.
Such the first metahuman ever.
Right.
Crazy. I loved this twist on the Captain America formula, this evil Captain America.
Right, yeah.
Arguably one of the most powerful characters on all of Earth Prime. I so badly wanted them to bring him in for some kind of crossover event, because I think he would have gave all our main heroes a run for their money. Obviously, Wayne Brady is such a talent. He has so much personality on screen. Him and Jefferson have a lot of chemistry. Also, him with the whole cast. There's a scene with him and Jen are going back and forth and bantering when she's in that little tubey thing at the end of season 3. It's just so much fun, and I think it's a I think it's a damn shame he didn't come back after season 3 because I think there was a lot of potential there. I
Mhm.
know that was around the time where things were just crashing. And
Yeah, there's
burning, but
controversy
Yeah.
behind the scenes with season 4 of Black Lightning.
Yeah.
So
You know
it's
what?
a damn shame, but he's great.
We got a damn good outsider story with him as the villain.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, 3Dub. What is your next choice?
So I'm going to Arrow this time,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be choosing Malcolm Merlin.
Oh,
Dark
that's a good
Archer.
choice. Okay,
I
the
knew
Dark
someone
Archer.
would.
Yeah, Malcolm Merlin's great. I would actually say that he's one of those characters that just got better over time too. I think he became a better character over time.
I just realized that.
I think he was very different in Legends, but I think on Arrow, he had a really good run.
I just realized I got the whole family as villains. Tommy Merlin as a Prometheus and
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
Archer.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know. He kind of fell apart in season 3 for me from a planning standpoint because
yeah.
the whole plan of pitting like Oliver and company, I didn't even mean to make that joke, but like pitting all of them against the League of Assassins, like after Oliver's fight with Raish on the Mountain, there shouldn't have been any conflict with them, but they kept on going this whole thing of, hey, we need to save Malcolm to save Thea, and then it kept
Very
going on.
convoluted.
especially-
Yeah.
I
especially
actually
in
think the
season-
reason why they did it is they didn't want to get rid of John Barrowman.
No,
they really
I
liked him on the show.
I can
so.
give them credit for that.
Yeah.
And whenever we saw John Barrowman towards the end of season 5, I thought he was great there. And like from an acting standpoint, he was always on his game, but
Mhm.
I feel like the writing with him was a little flimsy in later seasons.
Yeah.
Hedgehog Nerd, we're ranking our Arrowverse villains right now. So
That performance from him at the end of season 1, I think it's one of my favorite performances in like all of the Arrow.
They deserve to die.
Yeah, like Tommy's like,
Yeah.
so what? They should all die? Yes, the way she died. It's like,
Damn
oh,
it!
God.
Yeah. Oh, that was unscripted, by the way.
Oh,
yeah,
so
good.
I hate that he's been canceled because he's such a good actor. He's
yeah,
Wait, for what?
just being hard to work with on set. From what I
yeah.
understand.
He's it's not one of those like canceled because he did some like major thing. It's like small things.
It
over
seems like
time.
he's just an asshole, is what it
Yeah.
ultimately comes
He's
down.
basically Ruby Rose.
He was. I mean, maybe this because he was at a public event, but I mean, he seemed like a lot of fun when I met him.
He's fun
Sure.
in public, but I think behind the scenes he's a problematic
That's
person.
fair
to work
enough.
with, so.
He's a diva.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it is. 100%. All right, Jake. So, what is your second choice?
So I am going to pivot to the Flash for this one, and this is, I feel like a villain that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and in my opinion, definitely one of the best villains they ever had. That is Bloodwork.
Oh, very
yeah.
good one.
I
that one.
thought that they definitely knocked it out of the park with the first villain in Eric Wallace's run. That's also the only villain I think they nailed it with in that run. But he was a very new character coming off of the Flash Rebirth comics at the time, and just his whole story of like, because they tied it into the lead up to Crisis, where Barry is accepting his what he thinks is his death, whereas you have Ramsey that's not willing to, and he just goes. He wants to help people at the end of the day, but he's goes into just the absolute worst way about it. I thought Sinha Ramamurthy brought a lot to it as an actor, and when you got to see him in his blood work form, which wasn't very often, but when you did get to see it, it looked really cool. And it brought a lot of horror elements, especially in like that first arc of season 6, and even he was one of the better parts of season 9.
One of Eric Wallace's like diamonds in the rough of his run as the showrunner.
And part of me is convinced that because of how good that was, when you look at everything else, I'm convinced that was probably a leftover idea from Todd Helbing.
Oh, maybe
because everything else after it was just like it's a night and day.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved whenever he came back, and like I said, he was one of the better parts of the final season.
9.
It's really funny because I know that Andy who still was streaming with Chainsaw at the time of like the end of Arrow or whatever, had a lot of connections with people like Eric Wallace in the industry, and whenever I invited him on, I always felt bad about criticizing some of those guys because I know that he was like buddies with them, and I always like
Right.
it has to be really awkward with him on stream with me criticizing it. But looking back at it now, I don't think Eric Wallace was the right choice as a showrunner for The Flash.
No.
I think he's a good writer. He doesn't know how to run the whole show, though. Like, I think
Right.
he's a great ideas guy. And I think that really came through when it came to those, like, big events that he would do. Like, he was great with the crossover stuff. He was great with these, you know, like, leading up to Crisis. It was great because it was part of this large event. I just don't know if he knows how to do those in-between arcs, and he doesn't fully know how to execute
I also
these
think
ideas.
his connection with like pushing some of the side characters in weird ways, like Cecile and stuff. Look, I don't have a problem with them being there and supporting the show. I mean, I think that's the whole point of them being part of the supporting cast. It's literally in the title of that name.
Yeah.
But when you make Cecile like the most powerful character on the whole show, it's like, what are we doing here?
Or,
Like, this
or an
is-
original character that you make up in the last season.
Yeah.
He did a great job when he was bringing in all those other characters. Like
Yeah.
in that episode when you have, you know, those final 9 and 10, when you have characters like you know, Henry Allen coming back in, when you have characters like, you know,
Matt Lecter's
Wells
fun,
and
yeah.
Diggle and like Oliver. It's like, this is great. This is awesome. Why can't we do this every week? It's like, oh yeah, because this cast doesn't
And
work.
poor Chester. I didn't want to turn this to a beat up Eric Wallace stream, but
So easy to do.
poor Chester, who I think had a lot of potential once Cisco was gone,
Yeah.
got stuck in that Allegra
Didn't give him
storyline, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are we
And
doing
then
with this?
Speaking of Allegra, you know, like that's the only character he created as a comic writer, and you could tell how hard he was trying to push her and make her more prominent as the show went
I
on.
don't like. So to be honest, like as someone who has made up characters since I was a little kid, I've done a lot of that stuff, like creating stories that I've never made public, but things that I've written for myself and stuff.
Yeah.
Allegra is a boring character.
Yeah.
Extremely boring, not only in powers but just in personality. And for him trying to like push her so hard on the show was such a boring character. It's like you have Chester that has a really cool power, and you take it away from him immediately, and he never has access to it again.
Until the final episode.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And yeah, it just was not good. But anyway, that turned into a whole rabbit trail. So Bloodwork is the second one I picked.
Yes, good choice. I'm going to go with something very obvious, and I'm going to take it now because I have a feeling somebody else has it on their list, maybe possibly. Prometheus.
I left it off on purpose.
Okay.
I said Tommy Merlin.
That's
so
my
good.
two big ones. So Zoom and Prometheus were the two big ones that I had on my list, right?
Yeah.
I said Tommy Merlin Prometheus, but
yes.
you got
yeah. I think for me, the chemistry between Oliver and Adrian in that season, between Steven and Josh basically, was incredible. It's probably some of the best interplay between characters we've had in a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And although I didn't appreciate all of the twists that we had with Prometheus, between like working with Oliver and then who's the vigilante and who's Prometheus and all of that, like
I hated that.
I didn't appreciate it that much. But once we got into it, we hit the ground running and we knew what was going on. It just became incredible. The back half of that season might be one of the best back halves of any Arrowverse season that we've ever had, to be quite honest. And that finale, what the actual fuck? I don't think I've ever... I actually remember, like, it was months after that episode aired, we were still talking about it on streams and in videos because we didn't know what was going to happen to which characters. You know what I mean?
That's still probably my favorite episode of TV of all time.
Yeah.
We still don't know what happened to Evelyn Sharp.
And then the cliffhanger gets like immediately ruined.
Yeah.
Oh my
They knew
gosh.
what was gonna happen because they wanted to have her as well as Jessica DeGale, Huntress. They wanted her back in the finale, but couldn't.
The cool thing about it was that island blowing up was kind of their crisis because they could just keep who they wanted and get rid of the people that they didn't want.
Yeah.
That was,
Oh, it was so funny watching one of the interviews for Comic-Con that year. They had like what would be the whole regular cast for that season, and they go, "So raise your hands if you're in the season." Steven was the only one who raised his hand.
but yeah, they were pulling off a Marvel thing where they didn't want to like reveal who was going to be coming
and,
back or whatever.
Because they kept being very vague on like, what would you want to see from your character this season if they are alive? And Steven was walking on eggshells the entire time, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been David. Looked at him. It's like, oh man, you're talking a little vaguely here. And he goes, "What am I supposed to say? You're all dead."
I still stand by. They should have killed Thea there because they didn't do anything with her after that.
No, and Willa didn't want to be.
They should have
didn't want to be
just
Speedy.
But I mean,
committed
Mark
to
Guggenheim
that.
said they were never going to do that.
They should have. I don't know. I feel like they could have. And then because she really doesn't come back. Well, I guess she does in season 6 a little.
I would
bit,
argue
but-
you should have killed Dinah there because
Spoiler alert: Cupid is definitely not on my list.
Aw.
Dalton here, I believe, from Darren's channel, says the Last Temptation of Barry Allen Part 1 is probably the best episode of the show for me. Yes.
Yeah, it's up
Pretty
there.
it's a damn good one.
Staggervore says Razagul. Not on my list, maybe on somebody else's list though.
No,
Um,
sorry.
Anyway, Darren, third choice for you. You're number 3.
My third, and when coming up with this list, I wanted to pick out some a villain of the week that I feel like typically doesn't get talked about as much. And I was thinking, it's all my favorites, and there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot I could have picked, but just for the fun of it, I picked Mark Hamill's The Trickster from The Flash.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
He is so good. It is the closest we will ever get to Mark Hamill's Joker in live action. He's just doing
Yeah.
Joker again, but he's so damn good at it. And I think him and Grant have such good chemistry. I think his chaotic energy
Mm.
blended so well in those first 2 seasons with Grant's I don't know what I'm fucking doing. This is crazy. There's that scene where he's running around getting all the bombs and the bombs attached to him. He's running through. I don't know what to do. This is crazy. Yeah, it's so.
I also want to point out that what you just said, Darren, about the Mark Hamill, the Joker, and the Trickster and everything, it just makes me appreciate as we continue to talk about the Arrowverse, even all these years later, the stuff that they were able to give us in live action that we'll just never get.
Yeah, we got Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy playing live action counterparts of their characters.
I wish they could have got him for Crisis. That would have been such a cool little thing if you could have got just a 2-second scene or whatever of Kevin's Batman and then Mark Hamill's Joker in live action.
Yeah.
We got one scene of Mark Hamill with his original Flash, John Wesley Shipp.
Yep.
As Jay Garrick, I was like, that's a really good way to.
That's a
bring
good one.
Yeah.
All right, so 3Dub, what is your next choice?
I'm also doing a villain of the week, and this one's from Flash. This character first appeared on the Flash and then went over, and that's Black Siren.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, such a good choice. Yeah, that's good. Probably one of the best characters when she came back and became a regular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like her more than our Laurel.
I did too. They did our
Same
role so
here,
dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
That was one of the biggest droppings of the bag ever, was what they did with Laurel on Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, my God, I have never seen people just drop from a show that fast.
And then absolutely 100% totally redeemed her when they brought her back as Black Siren. So
her in season 8 was incredible.
yeah.
That trio of Oliver, Diggle, Laurel as they're just going through Multiverse, sick as hell. That was
Let's see
awesome.
more of that costume, man.
That costume's fantastic.
The person, look, okay, so I didn't, not to make her a villain, but the personality of that Laurel should have been the personality of the Laurel that we had on Earth 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you add Roy to that team, that's my dream Arrow cast. That's
They took the
those
time
four.
building that Laurel because they rushed out the previous one and they saw where they went wrong. So they wanted to make, this one being a hero, they wanted to make it earned.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so Jake, that brings us to you.
So I'm going with one that I can almost guarantee no one has on their list because of how obscure this is. This is a villain from Arrow. This is a villain from the flashbacks on Arrow.
Okay.
And I'm going with Konstantin Kovar.
Oh.
100's character. And next to Slade, I think he was definitely the best villain in the flashbacks. Of course, Dolph Lundgren as an actor just brought a lot to that role and really challenged Oliver's character in a lot of ways, as he was overcoming those final hurdles from him becoming the character that you saw at the beginning of the pilot in season 1. And some of that dialogue where he injects him with that drug and then makes him relive each of those scars that he got. I thought was just really, really good storytelling. And, his whole line of nothing ever really dies. It just brought a lot out of me. I mean, granted, Dolph Lundgren is one of those people that just turns anything he touches to gold. But, out of all those flashback villains, I thought he was definitely the best. And whenever he's fighting him on the island in that last episode in the finale, it was done really well how they showed like present day Team Arrow fighting Prometheus's team, flashing back to past Oliver Queen fighting Kovar, and his whole thing of maybe you're stronger whenever you're wearing that hood of yours, and just so many memorable lines and great acting, great writing from the character. So yeah, he was one of mine. I have a feeling no one else was going to pick that.
Well, I'm going to pick someone that has one of my favorite scenes in all of the Arrowverse.
Oh?
An individual scene that I always go back to fondly, and it's a musical scene. And it's one of my favorite, I don't know, like villainous type scenes that it's not, I guess it's supposed to be taken seriously, but not so seriously. And the character was bad in his initial run, and then really good when they brought him back. And that is Damien Dark on Legends of Tomorrow.
Ah.
The return of the Max scene where they bring him back to life is one of my favorite scenes. Oh, Darren, you're muted, by the way. You're muted, Darren.
You're muted.
I was like, Music Meister? Really?
Yeah,
oh,
no.
okay.
That's what I was thinking at first. Yeah.
Actually, shout out to the entire Legion of Doom in that season because I think they all did really well. But Damien Dark on Legends became so much better because he fit in with that show.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he was completely out of place on
With Arrow, he
season
just
4.
broke the tone.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You took that from me, by
so
the way.
Staggervore with the 199 super chat chiming in, giving a choice here or option. I would also include Anthony Ivo from Arrow.
Yeah, he was a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really think about him, but you mentioned him, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, I remember that person.
You did take Legends Damien from me, Eric.
Did you put that? Was that on your list?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I didn't think anybody was going to be pick that. I was like, I'm the only person that's going to pick Damien Dark because nobody's going to pick this guy.
No, I mean, if we're talking about Arrow Damien Dark, no, I wouldn't include
Right.
it. But Legends, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah. Also, Neil in that role is amazing. He's so good in that role. But yeah, so thank you for the super chat, Staggervore. Yeah, I'll have to go back. You know what? I need to do a rewatch of Arrow in general. I haven't rewatched it in a long time.
I really want to do like an Arrowverse rewatch.
Well,
It's
you might
so
want to get your
long,
watches in
but-
quick because at the end of the year, Arrow's leaving Netflix.
Neil is a really good actor. You know why? How I could tell? Because I couldn't. I literally had to watch this movie 3 times to figure out he was in Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah.
He was,
Oh, yeah.
he was one of the.
right?
He's one of the
Dugan.
freedom fighters.
Yeah.
He's Dugan.
Yeah, that's it.
No, he's great in that role, though. Like, you do forget that he's there. So, okay, so that brings us to, what are we at, 4 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Darren's
Final
fourth
2.
one.
In my final 2, and we're stepping out of Earth Prime a little bit, going over to the Superman and Lois
Okay.
for a little while. And I think I've talked about this on previous streams you've done, Eric, in terms of us talking about Arrow villains or Arrowverse villains we like. And this character didn't get as much of my love in the first season that they appeared in, but in the second season they really upgraded to that. And that is Bruno Mannheim.
Oh,
Damn it.
And
Jake probably picked that one too.
Damn it!
Damn it!
Jake's list is getting decimated here. He's like, it's just.
Damn, I thought I went safe.
Love Bruno. I loved him so much in this final season because he's not really a villain. He's not a bad guy. Well, he's a little bit of a bad guy, right? But it's all done from a moral place and a place of wanting to do better.
Yeah.
And I like that he fundamentally changes who Superman is as a character. He says,
Yeah.
hey, this is who you are, but I don't think you're doing it right.
Yeah.
You've been Superman for almost 20 years. This is your life. And what have you really done to save the world? What have you done?
Saving lives, but you're not changing them.
So I love that you end the series with them being like, okay, tell us how should we do our job better? And he's like, I'm glad you asked.
You
and I think
came back and asked him. Yeah, that was a great scene.
That is what Superman is to me. It's like, okay, help me change the world. Listening to people, giving their input. That is so good. I love it so much.
I don't know if Arrow's moving to HBO Max. HBO Max is kind of dumping everything, so I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on Tubi or Roku, to be honest.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't be shocked. And then you have to watch it with ads, so
Yep.
to get it now. Or go buy it. I think all those seasons are on Blu-ray and DVD, so you can probably go grab all the
Damn it,
seasons.
Darren.
Find a new one. Have
All right,
fun.
so let's see if 3Dub can take one of Jake's list options here. So
I doubt it. I doubt it.
3Dub, your number 4 choice.
So I'm going 2 legends this time, and I'm going with Black Flash.
Oh, what a creepy character.
Mm-hmm.
So, you mean like the whole, like every time you see him, or is there a specific one that you're...
Every time, basically his, how he like shows up randomly and how he's like chasing Thawne was like, I really enjoyed his, making Thawne sweat. So for me, it was Black Flash because I knew you were going to pick Zoom.
Right.
So he was.
So
he
you were
was
like, I'm going to pick the other version of Zoom. Like Black Flash.
Yep.
That makes sense.
That
Okay.
last scene with Black Flash was pretty bad, though.
All right, so Jake, what is your 4th choice now that you've had 2 things taken away from you?
So, okay. I have a feeling that I'm safe with these last 2, but I don't know. Darren could sweep one out from under me. I'm going back to Arrow. This is my last one on Arrow. And I was thinking on this one, I was like, do I put this one here? Do I not? Like, do I actually like this one as much as I believe I do? Because this character definitely is a departure from their comic version. But I have Richard Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Definitely a departure from the comic version. But, you know, I thought Kirk Acevedo brought a whole lot to the role as an actor. He had just this way about him that really made you feel uneasy whenever he was in the room, especially that scene where he kills Michael Erickson's character in the interrogation room. I thought that was phenomenal. I wish we could have gotten to see him more because I really, I really liked what he brought. I just felt like he wasn't focused on enough. And then when you go into season 7, of course, he's obviously in the sights of everybody, plus also Laurel because of him killing Quentin. Very sad scene, but that final interaction with him and Oliver in the prison, and where they're talking in the phone booth.
Is this one right here?
Yep. And he's like, this time I'm gonna finish the job, and Oliver just starts breaking the glass. Thought that was phenomenal. And the one thing that really kind of gave me a sense of how he was is that episode where they really dive into his backstory, and he goes after that guy who bullied him as a kid and just flat out burns the man alive. And I was like, okay, so you have a character that is this unhinged that they're willing to take a childhood grudge and go to this extreme over it. So, and I was like, you know what? Part of me can I don't know if I want to say respect, but I appreciate the fact that a villain is that over the edge. I wish that his fighting style could have been a little bit more developed because, despite his comic counterpart being one of the best fighters in the world and miles better than Green Arrow, he didn't really have a lot of feats in the show that would suggest he could stand up to Oliver, especially knowing the people that Oliver had beat beforehand. But I definitely thought he brought a lot to the role from a performance standpoint. Plus, I also just love him as an actor from other various things I've seen him in, like Grimm. Thought he was a really good villain.
Cody says that they're probably going to be going to Tubi because that's where everything else is. So,
oh God.
Yeah. All right. My 4th choice, and I'm going to do my honorable mention here too because it's from the same show. So my 4th choice, I struggled a little bit between this and my honorable mention, but I ended up landing on this because it is my favorite season of this show, and that is season 2 of Stargirl, Eclipso. I love Eclipso as a villain on Stargirl. I think it's one of the creepiest villains we've had in all of the Arrowverse adjacent world. Just like a really weird character and unexpected because I don't think anybody ever thought Eclipso would be coming to a TV show. They did a good job. My honorable mention is also from Stargirl, and that is Icicle from season 1. So, I think Stargirl was just good all the way through. Yeah. So I don't really have much, to complain about. But I really like both Eclipso and Icicle, so that's my
Mhm.
fourth and honorable mention. So,
They went 3 for 3 with villains. Like
Mhm.
I could have easily mentioned all of them, and maybe I will for my like honorable mention. But like every season, they had banger villains.
Yeah.
Each and every season.
And I think every character, Stargirl has a unique thing where even though she's the lead of the show, you still felt like everybody sort of had something going on. So there was always like a story happening.
And unlike the Flash, that wasn't a problem.
Right. Very, very much so. They did a really good job with it.
Mhm.
So anyway, I would say that is my fourth and honorable mention. And if anybody else has an honorable mention, feel free to. What's up?
So is there a blender in the background?
Yeah, I was wondering. I think it's outside. I heard it earlier, and I was like, "What is that noise?" I'll mute when I'm done talking. But yeah, I'm like, "What is happening?" Because I pulled it off. I was like, "What is that?" So
I literally thought it was outside my apartment. Too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, so those are my fourth choices. So Darren, you're up with your last one.
My last one.
So help me God, Darren.
Now, Eric, you got really close to naming mine. And I mean, in fact, you actually, I think, did kind of name drop mine, but you only name dropped a part of it, and I did the whole package with this one. It's a bit of cheating a little bit, but I picked the Legion of Doom from Legends of Tomorrow Season 2. All of them. It's a cheat code for my final one, but I think the combination, and I can't believe he hasn't been mentioned yet on this list, of Thawne, Damien Dark, Malcolm Merlin, even at the end with Captain Cold and Heatwave, is such a cool thing. Yeah. I think it's easily one of the most comic booky things a TV show has ever done.
Yeah,
like
really
that is so, it's so cool to have a show where it's like, okay, we are collecting all of these heroes and villains from all these other shows, and now let's gather up all these other villains that the other heroes have faced and make these guys face off. That is awesome. And then when you like lead to the season where it's like, oh, it's the like blood of Christ and the staff, and they rewrite reality and kill every hero in the universe.
And you live in this world where like they're the leaders of the world. So it's like,
they killed Oliver, they killed Barry, they killed Black Canary. It's like, holy shit, this is crazy. This is insane. And they're so much fun. Their chemistry is off the chart, and I think it's so cool to make every one of these villains now Sarah's villain. Like, she has such a good dynamic with obviously Malcolm because they have that connection. He killed him.
And Felicity had a costume.
Yeah,
that is true. They killed her. Felicity, snapped her neck, and then Thawne and Sarah is such a fun dynamic that I didn't know I needed, but they also work very well as these two characters that can't die, and they're like, well, we're here. All right, let's deal with this. And it is one of my favorite Arrowverse seasons. There's very few Arrowverse seasons that piqued like my enjoyment, and I think the like funness of that second season of Legends is so much fun.
Okay, fair enough.
Mixed a lot of dark stuff in it too at the same time.
It's dark as hell.
Just that bit where I think it's in the finale where you see Thawne speed forward, and all of a sudden Adam drops to the ground. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, in like the final bit where he makes like, it doesn't really make sense, but he grabs all the Thawnes from all the timelines, and there's like thousands of them.
Yeah,
not that guy.
These guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 3Dub, what is your final choice? And if you have an honorable mention,
both my honorable mention and my choice have pulled double portrayals.
Okay.
In their runs, both characters have. So my pick is from Superman and Lois.
Okay.
And it's Bizarro, Tyler Heck.
Oh. Okay. Is that your pick?
One of them.
And my honorable mention is Deathstorm.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I liked his design.
Yeah, the design was great.
I did too.
Yeah, I think that was that. Look, on a TV budget to do the skull and the flame and everything, it was like that's incredible. Maddie heavily disagrees with 3Dub. So
which one?
Yeah, which one of those?
Deathstorm, maybe? I feel like that's a little bit of a hot take.
That's why it's an honorable mention.
I do agree. He looks sick as hell.
Yeah.
Can I go back just a second? I didn't do my...
Yeah, go ahead. Do your honorable mention.
I didn't put him on here because I don't think he's had enough, but I loved Kadabra from Flash.
Okay.
I thought he was such a fun villain. I like using him as
David
like, our,
Damascene or whatever his name
Yeah.
is. His last
I like
name,
using him as our like reference machine, our like teaser to be like, well.
Everybody
really
kept going back to what he said. They were like, well, he said this and he said that, and then he talked about this.
Savot,
It's
and
yeah.
He is one of the Flash villains. I would have liked to have seen him as like a full season villain.
Yeah.
Like I think he's powerful enough to have that, but he's also not like a speedster villain. So like I would have put him on one of those
Right.
non-speedster villain spots. I think that would have been cool.
Maddie said Bizarro. Wait, hold on. He's the one that got the Doomsday, and Doomsday was pretty freaking awesome.
That is true.
He's the one that killed
Maddie said,
Superman.
I actually forgot about the Doomsday stuff. Yeah. So,
That scene at the end of season 3 when Lex is like murdering him over and over again is
Alice
freaking
was
awesome.
good
I'm-
silhouette animator. I agree. She's not on my list, but I agree she was good. She was the best part of season 1 of Batwoman, in my opinion.
Because that was one of my things, I'm gonna dive into that quick and just expand on it. I had
Okay.
Doomsday in there as my final one.
All right.
Not the honorable mention yet. I'll name that one in a second. But they took, what is typically like a raging, hulking monster and actually made it into a compelling character.
Mm-hmm.
And like the bits in the season, especially in season 4, where you see he recognizes, Lois, sees her face, and beautifully ending it off to where you have that Doomsday at the sun scene where he lets Superman push him into the sun. I thought that was beautiful. And also, just mention this too, the fact that you got Doomsday in like half of the season of a budget cut CW show looking fan-fucking-tastic.
Appeared like 4 times.
And yet the big budget movie version looks like dog shit. That is so embarrassing.
You know what's funny
Anyway,
too?
hold on.
Okay.
The other person I'm going to talk about too with honorable mentions. This is one that I thought might have been mentioned, but I decided to put him on here just because he didn't appear very much, which was again because of budget. But my honorable mention was Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him as maybe like a crossover villain because you see him in like that
That'd be
superhero
cool.
Fight Club video that they did, and I liked what he brought to the Flash in the seasons where he appeared. He appeared like for the first 5 seasons. I think it was once per season. There might have been one season in the middle where he didn't appear.
Yeah.
But especially that fight you have with him and King Shark was awesome. Just you see 2 big giant. It was essentially a quote unquote Godzilla vs Kong fight. Essentially like a version of it. But
Barack Obama.
oh God, I forgot about that. Tried forgetting about that. Thank you. But just love how they kept bringing him back, and whenever you hear his voice, it created a sense of dread on you. And whenever he would mind control a character, it would take a second because said character would act out of character, and you're like, why the hell did they do that? And then you remember Grodd is around. You're like, oh, that's what it is. So yeah, love how they did that. And then like when you get to all the Gorilla City stuff in season 3, that was really cool too. So just because he's one of my favorite villains for like a team of superheroes to face like a Justice League, had to throw him in there for that reason.
And
So,
speaking of,
yeah, go through that.
to go on with what Doomsday did was it's kind of crazy how when Pedro dies in the second episode, you lose half your audience. But when Superman dies in the second episode, they stick with it because he's coming back.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the show is called Superman and Lois, so I don't think they thought he wasn't coming back.
Also, they didn't need the ratings; they were done.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out that the Doomsday fake out ended up being real from Superman and Lois
What fake?
Yeah.
because Bizarro was faked out to be Doomsday when he first appeared.
Yeah, because he shows up in the containment suit.
Right, but then by the end of the show, he is Doomsday, which I
Yeah.
think is really a cool follow up on that.
Yeah,
So it
like-
wasn't really a fake out. Like it was a fake
Yeah.
out, but then it wasn't a fake out.
They
which I
were
think
just
is
leading up
perfect.
to it, and that tells you that the whole turning another Kryptonian body into Doomsday concept can work
Right.
if you decide to do it. There's just certain ways to execute it better.
So we're on me. I'm the final one here, and I'm going to pick something that nobody would have thought about picking,
Oh wow!
completely off the radar, and that is Eobard Thawne.
I was waiting for it. I was like, if we end this and no one picks him,
I like both of them. I guess Welzabard and Eobard both. But I would say if I went with one out of the 2 that I think had the most meat on the bone, it would obviously be Welzabard because he had the most
Yeah.
time with our characters. But Matt Lesher's so good in the role. So Matt Lesher to me is actually Eobard. He plays Eobard very well. Whereas Tom Cavanaugh is obviously a blend of the two characters.
I
of
really
Wells
liked
and
his
Thawne.
episode where he came back as Eobard, the actual Eobard, and you saw like what came first, the chicken or the egg scenario of if you kill them now, what would happen? And apparently, a lot of stuff can happen if you trap them.
Yes.
I love Tom Cavanaugh as Thawne in season 1, but I think bringing his Thawne back, I think every season after season 1, not only did it not make sense for him to play the character outside of that time period, but I honestly think it kept detracting from him, honestly.
Let's see here. We're going to roll dice here.
Especially in the finale.
All right, so...
God. Yeah.
Darren just had a flashback.
Why is this frozen? I can't.
Speaking of flashback, though, that
anything.
flashback episode where Barry goes back to season 1 for the first time and sees that Thawne already knowing who he is, brilliant stuff.
The only time it would have made sense, I think could have made sense and it didn't, is like on Earth X. I think they could have easily just been like, hey, that's their Thawne. And they that's him doing stuff. But they didn't. They made it our Thawne for some reason.
All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to only do, because we're down to 30 minutes now. So in order to watch that Invincible trailer, we are going to take our 5 list to 3. For wasted MCU villains, right?
All right.
Everybody has their list for that?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll do 3 and 1 honorable mention because we just don't have the time.
Okay.
So let's roll through. I'm going to go first here. 12 for me. Darren's roll.
Okay.
11.
Okay.
All right. 3 dub. 4.
Right down the line so far.
I don't know. Let me get because I might be first. Let me get my list ready.
2. It'd be crazy if he gets a 2.
All right. There we go. And we're going to go to Jake here. 16.
Wow.
Ooh, you went up.
First?
You're first. You're first. I'm second.
I'm third.
It's still in line, though.
We're still in the same spaces. That's
this is crazy.
Put Jake up front, and then we're good to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, no, Jake could go with me, and then I'm next.
And then it goes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm last.
So this first one that I have as wasted MCU villains might be a little bit of a hot take. I don't know. I have Cassandra Nova.
Okay.
And I thought Emma Corrin brought a lot to the role as an actress, but that character just felt very flat to me throughout that movie. I think it was probably the weakest part of the movie just from a writing standpoint, because you didn't really get a sense of why she did what she did, and they repeatedly make the case of, like she's so bad, she's so evil, and they repeatedly say, oh, well, she's just evil, nobody really knows, or I wish I knew I was like this. And that just felt very lazy to me, because that wasn't the focus of the movie, clearly. Like, the focus was the hijinks between the titular characters, Deadpool and Wolverine, and it just didn't really, I don't know, like I said, I liked Emma Corrin's performance, but from a writing standpoint, I think that Cassandra Nova had a lot of wasted potential.
Okay. That's fair enough. She's not on my list, but yeah, it's good that we're not. So we'll see we only have 3, so we'll see if anybody overlaps with anybody else here. All right, so my first choice is, these aren't in any order for me, by the way, no particular order. Would be Malekith from Thor. The Dark World. I like that character, and I don't have a disdain for that film. Like, it's not my least favorite MCU movie. I know a lot of people hate it. I don't actually hate it. But I think they could have done more with the character. It felt like there was a lot of moving parts in that movie that did not involve that particular villain. So why is Darren smiling? I'm worried now.
I didn't realize I was smiling.
That's why I started chuckling.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice. Sorry.
So I wish we could have done more with that character, and the idea of the Dark Elves seemed like a very cool concept. something that the MCU could have really capitalized on. And it felt like we just wrapped up that story very quickly and never went back to it. So I would love to see more on that. We'll never get it. I mean, let's be clear, we'll never see that again.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was just totally a wasted storyline for them. So I guess that means it sure go Darren, right? Weren't you next on the list?
Yeah,
No.
I am going the goddamn scrolls from Secret Invasion. Just as a whole, like there is so much potential, and technically you still could. It's not technically too.
You're just
late
like a
if you
whole
wanted
race.
to.
Like I'm just gonna be
The
like
whole thing. Like I feel like they should have been Avengers villains for me. They're like I think the potential that you could have done with the scrolls and really capitalizing on not knowing who is who and really bringing up the like trust issues you can have between our characters. I always when that arc like when that series was announced I was so excited because I thought back to Earth's Mightiest Heroes and what they were able to do with that show. And that is still some of my favorite Marvel content I've ever seen. Like that might be something like one of the hypest arcs in Marvel like media of all time. And I think back to stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what they were able to do, not with Skrulls, but with their LMD arcs and like how they were able to do a story arc like that. And like what they were able to do on like half the budget and without any of the heroes or the availability. Like they did so much with so little. And then I'm like, man, I really... After Secret Wars, I would love to try it again. Just
Secret Invasion had the budget.
Do you see that is true, and they wasted it on Samuel L. Jackson, right? But like a couple years from now, maybe in 10 years, just reboot Secret Invasion. Just do it again. Try it again with like a proper
as a movie.
Whatever.
A movie.
Yeah,
Make
as
it a
a
movie.
movie.
Again.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion 2. It's fine. Let's just do it.
So 3Dub, what is your first choice?
I'm going with the Doctor Strange and the villain from him, and I'm going with Dormammu.
Oh, okay. The forgotten villain that we don't know if we're ever going to see again because we.
And he's a world killer from
Yeah.
if the internet's correct.
Dormammu, I came to bargain. Yeah,
And it's voiced by the same actor too. So
yeah. No, I agree with that 100%.
I'd like to see him again.
I actually think we might see him again. I think when we go to
Yeah.
the dark dimension, I think we're going to deal with him again. So
Either him or maybe this is a bit of a pull, but do Nightmare.
yeah, possibly. So Jake, what is your second choice on your list of wasted potential?
So my second one, this happens to come from my least favorite MCU movie, and the wasting of this villain plays a lot into that. That is Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah. I'm glad someone did it.
That
it.
was the second one on my list too. Damn it.
So yeah, because that whole concept of somebody who prays to a god but then believes that all of these gods are selfish, and he ends up being kind of right when you look at how the movie plays out.
Yeah, he was not wrong.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
was
thing.
not wrong. Like all of the other gods were just disinterested, and the only good god, Thor, was made into a complete idiot.
And the funny thing is that they show that council, that big communion of gods, and they're all dicks.
Yeah, they're all.
So it's like,
and because I feel like the writers, they know that he's gonna make valid points, so they have to make it crystal fucking clear that he's the bad guy by having him kidnap a bunch of kids.
exactly. That was the whole thing.
And his whole thing too, like, just think about how little this makes sense. You have somebody that believes that all gods are selfish and they only care about them, yet the big master plan is to capture a bunch of people that they care about,
Right.
because they would come help them. It's like that just fails from a writing
Yeah,
standpoint.
well, I still stand by the fact that the problem with that movie was Kevin Feige was stretched too thin between the movies and the TV shows, and he didn't have a lot of time to really go in and
100%.
fine-tune Taika Waititi's story. And to be fair, he said he did such a great job with Ragnarok. He probably thought we're just going to let him go because he did such a fantastic job with that movie.
Right.
But this is one of those cases where a creative person sort of needs someone to hold them on the rails a little bit, and I think that's what happened. Is it just went completely off the rails?
You wasted Christian Bale.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
And Chris
Yeah.
Hemsworth admitted that they kind of lost track of the character in that film. So, Also wasted Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. I feel like she should have been a much bigger character.
Yeah.
Look, I will say that her storyline was probably the best storyline in that movie, but that's not saying much considering how bad the movie was, in my opinion.
That movie's great on paper. It's
Yeah.
like a fantastic pitch.
Yeah. It's also due to Sony having aspects of that story. Really? What aspects of it? Of the God Butcher story?
Really?
Oh, because of Venom.
Yeah.
The connection to the
Venom.
symbiotes. Yeah. That does make sense because of the all black sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right. The Necro sword. All right. Well, you took one of mine, so let me pick another one here. All right. Okay. We're going to go back to Doctor Strange. One of my favorite characters in all the MCU. You picked Dormammu. I'm going to pick Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a fantastic character that could have been a returning thorn in the side for Doctor Strange that was like, I'm going to stop all magic users from abusing their power, and then literally disappears until we see a variant of him in Multiverse of Madness, which it's great that it's a variant, but we never really got back to the other Mordo. And that was the teaser for the end of the first movie. And now we know that the Dark Dimension is probably going to be the premise of the third film.
Right.
Are we ever going to see this character again? As of right now, I'm going to put him down as a wasted potential character because we don't know when we're going to see this character. And if he does come back for Doomsday, he's most likely going to be an anti-hero, someone that's working with Doctor Strange or against Doctor Strange, because in the actual storyline, Doctor Strange is a villain. He's helping Doom for most of that storyline. So Baron Mordo would actually no longer be a villain at that point. He'd be working on the side of the good guys. So again, a wasted potential for like an anti-hero villain. So that's my second choice. So let's move on to Darren. Where are you at now?
My second one, and this is a good villain, actually. This is, I think, one of the more popular villains of his era over on those shows, going back to the Netflix era of shows. A villain I like quite a lot, but I wanted more of him, was Cottonmouth on.
You mean
really, really good, really good character, and then it killed him halfway. I was like, "What? What are you doing? He's so good," and could not get into the back half. The back half, like, it was good still. The main story was good, but I was like, "Man, I really like this guy."
The villain was so much worse.
Oh my god! What, like, the unexpected storyline, but unnecessary. They could have just kept him in, and I'm like, what the hell?
And then, like, all the cast have, like, said since then, like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no, 100%. So good. All right, so 3Dub, what is your second choice?
So I'm going with Guardians of the Galaxy, Ego.
Okay, and why do you think he was wasted? Do you think we should have seen more of him, or
I think we should have had like more of him and not just basically have a. He felt more like a plot device. Like he was sprinkled in the first one, but he was like. It felt like it should have been more something more. He felt like he didn't like have a real connection to Peter Quill. Other than the fact that he's his father, and it felt like very undermined.
In the comics, Ego is kind of like is always present. I don't think they've ever, in any of the stories I remember, they've never like killed.
They also killed him off really fast.
Yeah. That's like when you look at the MCU. Excuse me. A lot of the issues is just killing off villains instead of stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to like kill them, lock them up, put them in another dimension, something to stop, like temporarily stop them so they can come back later.
Right.
But there's that. All right. So what we're going to do is with our third choice, we're going to do one honorable mention. So Jake, give your third choice and then one honorable mention for your final ranking here.
So I'll say the honorable mention first on this one. It's where like I really have two honorable mentions that I just want to quickly throw out. But
well, if you can be quick about them, go ahead.
So the two quick honorable mentions I have.
Excuse me.
First one is Red Hulk. Thought we could have gotten more from that character. I think he was in the wrong movie, unfortunately. But Universal's never going to give the rights away. They're never really going to play nice with that. And also went down far too easily, in my opinion, just because they wanted to set it up that Sam had something to prove that he could deal with this alone. And the second wasted villain, I thought this was going to go in my number 5 slot, but I ended up just putting it here. That is Taskmaster. Yeah.
Good choice.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
okay, good. I got one of Darren's. But, if we end up seeing a prime and true, like proper Tony Masters Taskmaster,
I actually think we will. I think
I'm
we
hoping we will, but the version we got, especially just in Black Widow itself, not even counting Thunderbolts, where, spoiler, went out pretty quick.
She was on my honorable mention, so I'll just leave her out, but yeah.
The concept was cool, and while Taskmaster was masked, it worked, but then as soon as they took the mask off, everything fell apart.
I think there could have been a much better storyline if Taskmaster would have actually just been Taskmaster from the comics in the movie. Like as a for-hire assassin or something like that, it would have been so much better.
And then my last one, that's actually my last one, not honorable mentions. This is, we're supposedly getting this character reintroduced. Hi, Ronan. We're supposedly getting this
another one
reintroduced in some way, but just because of I really wanted more from this character. Ultron.
Oh my god, that was my third one.
That was mine. That was my third one.
Now I'm decimating everybody else's list. but no, I just while I enjoyed him in that movie, there was just like
totally wasted opportunity to bring him back. Ultron should keep coming back over and over and over again.
Ultron could be the villain of his own saga. Like that's
we do know that we're getting Jocasta in Vision Quest, so there's a possibility that we might see some Ultron stuff there. But
yeah, and like the whole thing about Ultron is, he can always come back as long as there's enough of him. And I feel like in that movie, they just made him too much of a comedian to the point where it was hard to connect with him. It's like, okay, there's points where he's coming across really threatening, has compelling lines here and there, but then it's intercut with a little too much comedy. And again, like you were saying with a lot of the other Marvel
James Spader was good in the role, though, I thought. I thought he did a good job with the voice. But
especially around that time, like Marvel was in the bad habit of killing villains in their debut movie.
Yes.
And I feel like that really, more than any other one that suffered from it, it really hurt Ultron. So if we get like a revamped version of him later on, I'll be curious to see what that is, but definitely wasted potential from him.
By the way, I want to point out, no matter what room you're in, if you look over here in the corner, everybody's room chat comes up there. So if you're like in my room and you want to see what people in, Darren's room is saying or whatever, it's there in the chat, even if it's not the same thing. So yeah. Right over top of 3Dub's face.
What face?
Exactly. All right. Because you stole mine, I'm going to go off on my wild card here. And I have no honorable mention because this is coming from my wild card draw. And I'm going to throw this out there. They're a team, so it's kind of a cheat. But it's a team, right? I think this is a team that we could have seen so much more from. And we got a little taste of that with one of their characters. With one. And the rest of them didn't really get that much time on screen or whatever. But that is the Black Order. Thanos' Black Order.
Oh, okay.
They were essentially the evil Avengers of characters. Like that's what they were. And they got thrown into like a group movie, and it makes sense because they were lackeys for Thanos, and you didn't want them to like overshine Thanos. But the only one that we really got any sort of characterization from was Ebony Maw. And Ebony Maw was absolutely terrifying. Like his powers were just crazy. Like the telekinesis / magical elements of his powers. Great. But we didn't get really much from any of the other characters in the Black Order. No. And I would have loved to
Supergiant.
No. And I feel like they could have done more. So that's my only issue with Black Order, is that we could have had more from them. Look, we will never see them again unless they come up in like Doomsday as like side characters or something like that. But it's just a shame we didn't really get much more from them over 2 movies, over 6 hours of film. Yeah. We got such little of those characters. I guess I could throw an honorable mention of Ronan the Accuser. He was on my list as well. I think we could have seen more from him later on. He was good in Guardians, and I think he played a solid role.
Was it because of Ronan the Unchained that showed up in chat? I mean, you go.
No. It's over here on my list. But he was one of my like very off the cuff ones. Like I just kind of scribbled his name into my list. But I just remember wanting to see more from him because he was really good. He was like the stoic character in a movie full of comedy, which I thought was hilarious. So would love to see him come back. But that's the last one on my list. So, Darren.
So for my third pick, and this one kept going in and out of my list as things kind of got stolen from me. But it is someone who shares the same name as me, coincidentally, MODOK from Ant-Man Quantumania.
Oh.
I like MODOK. I'm not like an expert in MODOK or
Yeah.
whatever, but I have always loved him in the various cartoons and stuff I watched as a kid. And then so like when we heard he was going to be in like Ant-Man 3 and he was coming, I was like, oh man, I've been waiting for this. I can't wait.
Right.
And they just did nothing. They really did nothing with
the little MODOK butt and everything. It was like, what are we looking at here?
It didn't look very good. The character was just annoying. He became this kind of bit character, which I know he can sometimes be a little goofy and weird, but like, I don't know. I personally did not vibe with MODOK in Ant-Man, and maybe they can redo it someday. Maybe, you know, in the future we can try again with a different character or something. You know,
they don't have to.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't stand MODOK.
Fair. Again, I'm not an expert. Like I only know of him.
Well, I mean, at the very least, if people don't like him, they could have made the character likable for the people that do like him, and they didn't even do that. They like.
What about Yellow Jacket?
Same character.
Yeah, I mean, it's all.
I mean, like
in the-
basically, Yellow Jacket's story ended when he went like vanished, and then MODOK
I actually,
appeared.
to be fair, I actually like Yellow Jacket's story in the first Ant-Man movie. To be
Yeah.
honest, but do you have an honorable mention at all, Darren? Or is that
Honorable mention, and this is like an obvious one, and it's not really their fault, but King the Conqueror would be definitely a wasted
I
character.
was wondering if anybody was going to bring that up.
Like,
Oh my god!
inherently is wasted because they literally couldn't finish it, right?
Oh
So,
my god!
Darren, you might have just opened a can of worms that you did not want to open.
That's funny. That's too funny.
although
Alright.
he was great, the character was great, and the various stuff he saw, like him and Loki, and yeah, like Loki season 1 and 2 was so good, and then Ant-Man exists.
All right, I see your super chat, Naruto. We're gonna read that in a second, but let's let 3Dub cap off this segment with his final choice and a possible honorable mention.
So my final choice is from let me I forgot what, but can we say it? Oh yeah, okay. My final choice is from Captain America: First Avenger, and that's Red Skull.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
that's fair.
yeah, I understand why. I think he did a great job in the movie, but I could have totally
They
seen more of him.
they basically brought him back to be a watcher of the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
which-
I actually think that's a good callback, but I understand what you're saying. Like bringing him back as like a regular character.
He
I
could have
get
been
that.
used a little bit more. I
Yeah.
feel like
Mhm.
I like him. though.
And
Uh,
how is he not like resilient for being used to watch a stone? And who told him to watch the stone?
I think that's the mystery of it all. We have to use context clues and just assume.
And my honorable mention is Hercules.
Is Hercules a villain though? I mean, I don't know if Hercules counts.
He
as a
was
villain.
set up as a villain and never mentioned again.
I don't even know if he like. I will give it to you, but because we don't know. But Hercules is a hero in the comics. He's not really a villain.
Yeah.
Well, he was set up to go after Thor. So
I do kind of agree with him though, where like yeah, it clearly was supposed to be this like Batman v Superman kind of movie. Where
I
it's,
would
like,
say more antagonist and less
Yes.
villain.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. Makes sense.
we'll have to do a second one that's like wasted characters and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
on there.
100%. All right, we have a super chat here from Naruto. Let's pull up on the screen. Thank you for the super chat. When Ego died, the whole Peter Quill is a normal guy now was utterly stupid. I agree with that. I think that was dumb. Like,
I think it's false.
yeah,
I don't think he's really because like he was freezing in space and lived. I was like, who clearly has a little bit of that god left in him.
yeah. It was really weird to give him like DNA from a Celestial and then be like, oh, by the way, now he's just normal. Like, I don't totally get it. I will say the reason why I think they did this is because of what Ego was doing to Earth, and they had to figure out a way to stop Ego's, because like all that stuff that was happening on Earth at that time, they were like, if we kill Ego, it kills all of his power, and they're like, oh, by the way, that would also kill Peter Quill's connection to the power. But it's like, is that how that would work? I mean, I feel like if you're a product of something, it's in your DNA, but then we'd be questioning like the logical nature of like superhero movies, and I guess that's a step too far at a certain point.
Kind of like how Ego killed all of Peter Quill's siblings, and then they just wrote it off as a joke.
Yeah.
What was that villain in the third one of Guardians?
High
Oh
Evolution.
wait, Evolution. Yeah, he's
The
another
High
one.
Evolutionary. Yeah.
He was so good.
He was good. Okay, so that's the end of our list, but we have about 7 minutes left before we wrap up the stream today. Before we do that, I do want to thank everybody for being here. Of course, Darren hanging out. If you're watching on Darren's channel, make sure you're subscribed to his channel. If you're here after we're done, head over to Darren's channel and subscribe. Same thing with 3Dub. Head over to his channel and subscribe to his channel. And I think Jake is actually streaming in like an hour from now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if you guys are looking for more stuff to do this afternoon to hang out and chit chat, I'm sure Jake would love to have you over to his channel during his stream. So you can head over to Joypad Jake's channel and share the love over there. All right, with that being said, this was mentioned earlier. I believe Naruto, was it Naruto that brought this up?
Yeah, it
Earlier.
was.
Yes.
We're going to watch this trailer for the Invincible fighting game. I haven't seen this yet. I actually bookmarked it for tomorrow, but since you brought it up, we'll take a look at it now. Actually, before we do that, Naruto with a $2 super chat. Did any of you watch that horrible MODOK show? I watched like 3 episodes of it and then I stopped.
I watched one. It was
I
not my
didn't
cup
know
of tea.
there was a MODOK show.
It's like Robot Chicken. If you're a fan of
Yeah.
Robot Chicken, it was kind of in that style. Yeah, I didn't watch it because, first of all, I like Patton Oswalt. Like, that's not really why I
Yeah.
stayed away from it. I'm just not, Robot Chicken isn't my vibe, so I didn't really care for the show too much.
He doesn't like AI either, so
All right, let's watch this gaming trailer. This should be okay. It's a gaming trailer. Gaming trailers usually don't get claimed
Yeah.
unless there's a song in it that's a copyrighted song. So
Well,
we'll see.
guess we'll find out.
Yeah, here we go.
Hope you're not in a hurry because northbound is backed up all the way to 18th. And the southbound ain't looking much better.
This is ridiculous.
I like the graphics.
Jeez. Come on.
One of them? You're here, but it's traffic.
Oh! Okay. What the?
No respect.
Had enough yet?
Oh.
Not even close.
I love the way this looks like the superimposed characters are in the background.
I didn't watch this first Apprentice Kill.
I hoped you'd understand why I had to do this. Accept our rule or die.
Atomy.
I'd like to propose a third option.
Rexplode.
I'm not your son anymore. I'm the guy who's
Oh, is it
going to
3v3?
throw
Is
you
that
off
why
this
it's
planet
3
for
on
good.
3 of them?
I trusted you.
Oh, it's a side by side fighter.
That's all! Ready to bleed? This is over!
It looks very old.
Coming through!
Let's do this. Gotcha.
Going up!
Come
Need a
here.
hand? Might want to look up!
See how you like this? It's an army.
I am ending you! I see it all now.
Jesus. Oh my god.
Holy shit.
This is like trauma.
Give people like a headache.
So it's Xbox, PS5, and PC. It looks like.
Yeah. I was disappointed at first because like when I saw the announcement, I hadn't seen anything. I thought it was like open world at first, and just like the thought of that, just being able to like fly around and shit as Invincible, I was like, oh, that would be so sick. I was like, oh, it's like Mortal Kombat.
that's
Okay.
that's why I felt like with Injustice too.
Cody with the $5 super chat says it's the devs of Killer Instinct, by the way, working on this. Yeah, that makes sense.
That tracks.
It looks very old school, but I like old school. So my thing is, this is the genre of games that I started playing competitively in the 90s, was like these fighting games. So for me, this looks like something I might play. I'll probably give it a shot. The graphics look good. It's got an old school feel to it, and it's very bloody. So, I mean, it doesn't hold back on any of that. So
yeah, that old school fighter feel, like that arcade fighter kind of candy coating. That's probably the thing that I'm taking the most from this, because admittedly I'm not the biggest fan of this show, and actually I'm not even current with it, but I was like, you know what, this looks fun. I might get it, I might not, but I was like, you know what, I'm glad that this is something that the fans of this can appreciate.
Yeah.
So
Definitely
with that
not a
being,
kid show.
yeah, go ahead. What did you say? $3?
I was like, it's definitely not a kid show.
No, definitely not. So that brings us to the end of the stream. We actually got through all of our topics. The bonus topic we're going to do, we'll do another stream, which is the battle thing or whatever. We knocked out 3 things. So if you're watching this as a contributor, we did 3 in this stream, and we'll probably do 3 next stream. So we'll not next stream, but like next bonus stream. So we'll probably get caught up by next week. But anyway, again, thanks everybody for being here. And Jake is going live 1 hour from now on his channel. So head over to Joypad Jake's channel.
It's a mouthful, I know.
Yeah, so it's like this alliteration, like tongue twister thingy. But anyway, we'll do more of these. We'll probably do these at least twice a month, where we have like just everybody together knocking out bonus topics. So anybody who has shared the stream will be able to leave it up on their channel, and go over and support those guys as well. With that being said, we are out of here. Thanks, guys, so much for being here, and we will see everyone next time. Well, actually, tomorrow night, live for the Nocturnal Nerdcast.
Yeah,
see you
I guess
then.
so.
Yeah.